Thanks for joining us. Nick Beres here on MorningLine. We're talking with Dr. Henry Lee, one of the world's foremost forensic scientists. He's been involved in so many huge cases over the years. He's at MTSU, where he'll be speaking tonight at 6:30, open to the public if you'd like to go hear him talk. And one of the things we're discussing is the backlog of rape kits and DNA testing, what takes a while. Dr. Lee, I was going to read the statistic here. The TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation here in Tennessee, reports that the Jackson Crime Lab there in Western Tennessee, average turnaround time. And you just told us that sometimes with a rape kit, I mean, it could be 3 days. There's a lot of scientific work that goes into it. But the average turnaround time right now ranges for some of these rape kits from 33 to 49 weeks. It's taking that long because they have so many. And as a result, you've got these cases, and until there's an ID, there's, a sex offender out there still running around. What's the problem here in your mind as we look at, this is the sex offender, of course, who arrested in the Eliza Fletcher case out of Memphis, and he would have been locked up had they done a rape kit on him from a prior case, but it didn't happen. So what do you think about all this? It's got people very upset, and I think it's been a problem for a while, but the Fletcher case really brings it to a head. What do you think, Dr. Lee?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, this is a tragedy, and that crime could be prevented. Unfortunately, it's not the laboratory's fault either. They just, as you just showed me, they have piles of rape kits. And those, if you have to process correctly, takes some time. I don't know too much about their laboratory system. Early days, I visited many of a forensic laboratory in Tennessee. First of all, you have to know how many DNA scientists in that laboratory. Let's say they only have a handful.
Yeah.
They have to take care homicide cases, other cases, or rape case have a known suspect. So they put those as higher priority. Then the manager of the system, for example, early days when I was the laboratory director, that we utilize overtime. In other words, instead of work 8 hours a day, we have the scientists stay late, come early, do extra hours. So the laboratory, if you don't have overtime, you can really ask the worker work another 4 hours. Then we usually early days I do call weekend. We put together a group of scientists, including myself and some my student volunteer. We train them to help to do manual work, for example, document each piece of evidence. Meanwhile, scientists can examine the swab, the rape kit. Then once they finish, the next scientist can do the extra, which is like a factory type of fashion, try to reduce some backlog. And of course, I read something about your governor, Lee, announced going to hire 20-some more DNA or 70 more DNA scientists.
Right.
That's the right move. And the legislator should pass the bill, make this a permanent funding, not just 1 year funding, because after 1 year, what you're going to do next year. So you should work together as a team. Apply federal grant. They do have Justice Department to have the federal grant to reduce the backlog. You should also work with university or private laboratory. Many times the state laboratory is so busy, impossible to touch the backlog, reduce it, so that sometimes they farm out to have other laboratory to collaborate, work together. So there are a variety of ways to handle that crisis. But definitely, we should focus and reduce the backlog, put all those rape case suspects DNA.
In the database, yeah. And by the way, that's Tennessee, and you're correct. Actually, you know, the governor and the legislature are going to try to get the budget for 25 additional lab techs with the TBI. But what's happening in Tennessee in the backlog here? That's pretty much the case in a lot of states across the country, right? I mean, this is not unique to Tennessee. There are backlogs of rape kits all across the country.
You're right, and not only Tennessee, many state, many county. All have backlog, so the laboratory, the administrator, and the legislator, and the community have to work together to tackle this issue. As a forensic scientist, definitely, we're going to work harder. Like a lot of people laugh at me. Yeah. I usually work 7 days a week. I work 16, 18 hours a day. As laboratory director, chief, I don't have a compensation. I cannot collect overtime either. Now I'm 84. I'm still working long hours because I know most of the forensic scientists, they are very devoted. They are not just a 8 to 5 or some type of a worker. We put our profession first, to serve the public first.
Of course, and I agree. And by the way, we should say, I haven't mentioned this, you are Professor Emeritus now and Director of the Forensic Research and Training Center at the Henry C. Lee Institute of Forensic Science there at the University of New Haven in Connecticut, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you're a busy guy. You're a busy guy.
I learned a good lesson. Don't let people use your name, and because a lot of laboratory museum, everybody use Dr. Henry Lee Museum, Dr. Henry Lee College of Criminal Justice. You look like a adopted baby. Anytime they need a diaper, they look for you. They need milk, they look for you. And I'm glad this Mid-Tennessee State University, you also have a institute, but the name as a FIRE. It's kind of pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Initially, I don't understand. FIRE turned out to be a Forensic Institute of Research and Education.
Yeah.
And tonight's lecture actually, we designate to honor your friend, my friend, Dr. Bass.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Listen, we've got another phone call for you, sir. And let's go to Stacy. Stacy, how are you?
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
3 quick questions for Dr. Lee.
Okay.
These are all about the Kennedy assassination.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering, in the nearly 59 years that have passed, if his views have been reinforced or changed by the maybe advances in forensic technology, and if also, I guess, with regard to the forensic technology, if what we know today would have changed or advanced, or let's say, where everything has, all the mistakes and everything have fueled the conspiracy theories, if maybe we could put some of those to rest if we knew then what we know now. And the other thing is there any relevance as far as the forensic technology of the assassination? In other words, there's going to be another data dump, or supposedly a final data dump on December 15th. Would any of that shed any light on anything related to the forensics?
Hey, great question. I appreciate you calling, and that's good for her. She, as I mentioned earlier, recognizes you've participated, I guess, in several examinations into the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and of course, those conspiracy theories, and certainly forensic medicine's come a long way since he was killed. What are your thoughts on that? She asked some good questions.
Well, she asked a lot of wonderful questions. I wish I have an answer. Everybody think forensic scientists will have all the answer, like a television show. I tell you honestly, we only can say all the forensic scientists, we work hard with our collective knowledge and technology available to us. As Susan mentioned above, 1904, Dr. Landschneider already discovered ABO system. So for years, rape kit, blood evidence, biological evidence, we determined the ABO type. Then until 60s, we start using isoenzyme, such as PGM, AK, ADA. So we can break the population in a smaller group now. By 70s, we start using serum protein. Then not until 1989, DNA introduced a few. However, at that moment, DNA, we need an intact piece, long piece of the DNA. We use a technology called RFLP, restriction forensic length of polymorphism. Not all the DNA can have that long piece of intact. Other DNA you cannot analyze. But over the year, a lot of scientists develop new technique. We can do PCR, a small fragment DNA, we can make a lot of copies. Then STR, that's what we today use. But future, maybe even can do sequencing, even more precise.
Okay, but Doc, let me ask you, I mean, okay, I understand all that, but can some of this have gone toward maybe dispelling some of the conspiracies with regard to Kennedy, or you just don't know?
Well, it's done. I haven't finished. The DNA, it's not the whole answer, okay? The DNA, you found some DNA with a 30 years old cases, some trace amount DNA. Not necessary, that DNA left by the suspect. If that weapon, the rifle handled by so many people already.
Yeah.
You can't really say a little amount of DNA, therefore must be the suspect. Just like a innocent project in the country is a wonderful project. A lot of innocent people, because DNA was released. But on the other hand, also caused a lot of Crown laboratory problem. 30, 40 years ago, evidence, they re-examined the DNA, found some DNA, and they use that as a appeal, say that's the real suspect's DNA.
Okay.
Just like a recent case, the judge made the ruling, says 30 years. How do we know how many people touch it? Early days, nobody wore a glove. Judge touched the evidence. Prosecutor, defense attorney, every jury touched the evidence.
Yeah, that's okay.
On a little bit of DNA doesn't really give you a new clue.
Listen, we got to take a break on that note. We're up against a break. We'll come back. I'll let you finish your thought as we go, but I hear what you're saying. All these years later, you know, talking about contamination of evidence or as it ages, it makes it difficult to come to new conclusions. I understand that. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, our final segment with Dr. Henry Lee right after this.